Hi, my name is Marija Parente, and I'm a total access coach. Total access work is about accessing who you really are. And who you are is not your ego identity, the character you play in life. It's not all these roles that you identify with. It's actually a space. And you can experience this space as you peel off the layers of the parts of you that are not real, the part of you that may have seemed real or is a survival mechanism, but is not the fabric of your being. The other part that is also not you is this weight of your ancestry line. So to get to your soul essence, to this space that I think is the fabric of your being, you also have to look at your family system and go beyond the carried energies that are there because they were unresolved in your past. That's total access. Once you access you, you actually get to redesign yourself as if you would if you were writing play and going on stage as an actor. You literally can create yourself. And creating yourself should be a function of your life purpose, of what you want to accomplish in life. You can be fluid with that. You can flow with life, not against it. So that's the benefit of total access. Now, I wanted to give you a little sense of how we think of ourselves, just so you can know what I'm talking about. This is an exercise that I learned from one of my Constellation teachers, and I think it's very useful to give you a sense of how you feel, how you feel about who you are, like what is the dynamic that is already there. So I will ask you now to just look at your environment and pick 4 objects, any 4 objects. Don't make this a big thinking thing. Just make sure that they're small enough that you can actually put them in front of you. Just capture 4 different objects. That can be pencils, that can be tissue box, it can be tarot cards, lotion, nail polisher, lip gloss. I'm naming the things that I see in front of me. So 4 objects should represent the following 4 things: your innocent self, your wounded self, your adoptive self, and your mature self. So you can pause the video, get your objects, and when you're ready, I will tell you what to do with them. Great. So if you did the exercise, you have gathered 4 objects to represent your innocent self, your wounded self, your adoptive self, and your mature self. What I would like for you to do now is to place those objects in front of you in whatever order. Just place them so that you can see the relationship between each object. Maybe if you have a pen and paper next to you, you can write what each object represents so that you don't forget it, or that you don't have to be thinking while you're doing an exercise, because the exercise is really going to show the dynamic between these ways of thinking of ourselves. If you place the objects, here are the questions I would like for you to ponder and answer, or even just keep as questions. What is your choice for innocent self? What's the choice of object? Do you have any insights about that? Look at your wounded self. What did you choose? Do you have any insights about that? How about your adoptive self? What's the object you chose? Do you have any insights about that? And finally, what did you choose to represent your mature self? Do you have any insights about that? The next step would be to look at the relationship between these objects. So I'll ask you some questions. What's the relationship of your innocent self to your mature self? Can they physically see each other in the space. If there were eyes to this object, are they looking at each other or away from each other? If it feels like the objects are communicating, what could they be saying to one another? What do you see in this relationship? Now, I would like for you to look at the relationship between your wounded self and your adoptive self. Do these two objects feel like there's a communication between them? What's the relationship? What's the insight about that? Now continue to ask yourself, what's the relationship between each of these elements? What about innocent self and wounded self? What's the connection if you were to draw one or create one? How about adaptive self and the mature self? Now give yourself ample time to ponder and to ask yourself these questions and gather your insights. And then when you're ready, and only after you're ready to kind of take it to the next level, I ask you to move the objects around to see if the relationship shifts. So try this scenario. Try putting your innocent self in front of you. And then try having a wounded self in front of the innocent self. Try having an adoptive self next to the wounded self. And then try putting the mature self object in front of all of it, such that there's a mature self, and behind that object would be a wounded and adoptive self, maybe even separate. And behind that would be innocent self, such that it almost feels like you can draw energy from your innocent self. When you put it like that, see how your nervous system feels. Do you feel a sense of relief? And if not, move objects around so that you have an experience of relief, because this is really about you. While what I proposed is a really good way to look at it, meaning there was an innocent self when you were first born. Like you, as a baby, you were innocent. And then something happened. And then you got wounded. And then in dealing with your wound, you adapted your ways of being. You were adapting to life. And then your mature self can be walking forward from the wounded self or from the adaptive self, or you can draw from your innocent self, which is this energy, that presence that I say the total access give you access to. Whatever your insights are, I suggest you write them in your journal or anywhere where you can check it out again at some point. Write a date, write your insights, and maybe repeat the exercise in a few months, maybe even a year, and see what comes out of it. I hope this has been powerful for you and that it promoted at least some healing in this arena. Thank you so much for your time, and I look forward to interacting with you in the future. If you would like to know more about my work, Total Access, please go to my website, mariaparente.com. You can read about my work, my background, and all the ways in which I contribute to people. There are sometimes also free events, so I encourage you to sign up for those and get a taste. Thank you so much. Have a blessed day.